Are we live?
Weapons activated.
Here comes the shooting.
Evacuation sequence activated. Inside this sacred sequence, our three Venus numbers stand directly next to each other. 5, 8, and 13. This is no coincidence. It cannot be a coincidence. Let us look at these three numbers one by one, because each one of them carries its own deep message. 5, 8, and 13. Let us begin with 5. 5 is the number of humanity. You have 5 fingers on each hand, 5 toes on each foot, and imagine standing upright, stretching out your arms and open your legs. What do you see? A 5-pointed star. Head, 2 arms, and 2 legs. You yourself are a living pentagram. The ancient mystics already knew this. The pentagram is an important symbol when it comes to magical rituals, because it is so deeply connected to us as human beings. Sacred geometry is anchored in our own body. 5 is also the number of the 5 elements. Everything that we experience here on earth is a mix of these 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and the 5th element, ether, spirit, the divine. 4 elements of matter and 1 element of spirit. Everything is filled with spirit. And we need all 5 to become whole. The fact that Venus draws exactly these 5 petals into the sky is a message. She tells us, you are loved. This is the divine frequency. And it becomes visible here on earth, in the human being, in you. You are the place where the divine enters matter. Venus shows you this every single day, every time she appears in the sky. And now to number 8. You know this number. You might know it as the symbol of infinity, a stream without beginning and without end, energy that flows again and again in eternal movement. 8 is the number of balance, the bridge between above and below, between heaven and earth, the symbol of cosmic order, the number of immortality. We also meet the 8 in music as the octave, 8 tones, and then everything begins again, one vibration higher. 8 is the rhythm in which things complete themselves and then open again on a new level.
There's no 8
And
in
in
music.
numerology, 8 is the number of karma. What you give into the world comes back to you. What you sow, you will harvest. The endless loop of cause and effect. And this is exactly the 8 that Venus brings into our sky. She needs 8 Earth years to complete her rose. 13 13. 13 is a special number, and many people are afraid of it. In hotels, there is often no room number 13. On airplanes, there is often no row number 13. And Friday the 13th is seen as an unlucky day. But why? Why this fear of a number? Because 13 is the number of the feminine, the number of the goddess. There are 13 full moons in a year, 13 moon cycles, and ancient cultures lived by the moon, not by the sun. The Maya, the native peoples of North America, the pre-Christian, the Celts, they all used lunar calendars, 13 months. Women usually menstruate in the rhythm of the moon. 13 is the sacred number of the female body, of female wisdom. When the solar calendar replaced the lunar calendar, when patriarchal structures took power, when wise women were burned at the stake, that is when the sacred 13 became an unlucky number. The number of the
patriarchy
became the number of evil.
The patriarchy cannot take the power of the feminine.
And the same thing
But yes, there has been a war on women.
happened with Friday the 13th. And by the way, Friday is also the day of Venus. And together with the number 13, it carries a strong energy of pure female energy. But the Christian church turned it into the most difficult day of the year. 13 is the number of transformation, of rebirth, of primal feminine power. It dissolves old structures so that something new can be born. And now you may understand why this knowledge about Venus, about the goddess, about the sacred feminine was forbidden. Why was the goddess demonized? Why was 13 turned into an unlucky number? Why were sacred women burned? Why were the temples of Venus destroyed? Because this knowledge is dangerous. Dangerous for those who want to control you. Because as long as you believe you are small, you can be controlled. As long as you believe you must worship a God somewhere above you. As long as you believe you must apologize for your sins. Make yourself small. Be humble. And hope that someone will show you mercy. As long as you believe you must worship a God somewhere above you. As long as you believe you must apologize for your sins. This makes yourself small. And then you are humble and hope that someone will show you mercy. As long as you believe this, you are controllable. As long as you believe this, you are like a sheep. But the moment you understand that your own body follows the code of creation, that your 5 fingers on each hand carry the pentagram, that Venus dances in your sky, only for you, only for Earth, that you are built from the same sacred geometry as the galaxies, that 13 is the number of creation within you, as a woman, as a man, in the rhythm of your body, in the rhythm of the moon. In that moment, you understand something that changes you forever. You understand that the divine is not outside of you, it is within you. You carry the divine inside of you. And not only that, everything about you is divine. What else could it be? You are not a sinner who needs to be saved. You are a divine being who is remembering. And this remembering, this realization, this is exactly what humanity was not allowed to have. Because a person church that sells them forgiveness. They no longer need a God standing above them. You are connected directly to creation itself. And that is why the temples of Venus had to fall. That is why the goddess had to die. That is why the sacred feminine had to be erased. There were once temples of Venus all over this earth. In ancient Mesopotamia, there stood the Inanna temple of Inanna in Uru, one of the oldest temples of humanity, more than 6,000 years old. And in Babylon, Ishtar was honored. In Cyprus stood the great sanctuary of Aphrodite. You may know the legend that the goddess was born from the foam of the sea, and there were many, many more. The ancient temples were all dedicated to the goddess, to the energy of the sacred high priests and high priestesses, to what they brought into expression, to the sacred cycles that work in us and through us, to the sacred codes, and to the knowledge of frequency, the knowledge that a higher consciousness can make healing possible. Around the year 400 after Christ, all pagan religions were forbidden. The goddesses lost their place. The ancient knowledge was burned, buried, forgotten. The high priestesses were banished or killed. By the way, this was also the time when the Gospels of Mary Magdalene disappeared. Mary Magdalene was not a sinner. She was not a prostitute. The story was only placed on her centuries later, in the 6th century, by the Pope. Mary Magdalene was the first witness of the resurrection of Jesus. In the oldest writings, she is called the Apostle of the Apostles, a recognition that the Vatican only officially gave back to her in the year 2016, more than 1600 years after her voice had been silenced. Her gospel was officially excluded. Her teachings were suppressed because they showed something that did not fit the image. A woman who appeared more powerful than the male apostles. The sacred women were burned. The number 13 was demonized. The day of double Venus energy, Friday the 13th, was turned into a day of bad luck. It was a systematic attempt to erase
Dirty
the
Q-tip.
feminine from
Dirty
the
Q-tip.
consciousness
Dirty,
of
dirty, dirty
humanity.
boy.
But it could not be erased because Venus keeps dancing in the sky. Every night, every morning, she draws her rose, she weaves her coat, and we find this coat everywhere in nature. So if you are connected to nature, this coat speaks to you. And this frequency is alive, and it waits for us to recognize again. So what does all of this mean for you, for us today, in this moment? It means that the time has come, the time in which the goddess awakens again.
Jai
Not as a
Devi.
religion, not as a new belief that you are supposed to follow, but as a memory, as the memory of what you have always been. Look around in this world. What do you see? You see wars, you see violence, you see innocent people being hurt, you see children suffering or being killed. You see entire nations carrying pain. This is what happens when the sacred feminine disappears from a world, when the connection to the earth is lost, when the connection to love is lost. But right now, we are remembering again. Venus is awakening in you, in because the sacred feminine is not about being male or female. It is a frequency. It is the frequency of love, of connection, of life itself. Every human, every human being carries it within. Every man, every woman, every child. And in the same way, every human being carries the Christ energy within. This is a pure, sacred, loving frequency. It does not belong to religion. It does not belong to Christians. It does not belong to the church. It belongs to no one except life itself. The Christ energy is the frequency of divine consciousness, and it lives in each one of us, no matter what you believe, no matter where you come from, no matter what color your skin is, no matter what language you speak. The sacred is in everything, in every breath, in every living being, in every stone,
Be blessed,
in
friends.
every tree.